Hello and welcome to Echo at Africa, your environment program coming to you from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Nelta Igbe. Have you ever heard of clothes made out of renewable resources? Of course you have. But can you imagine textiles made out of milk? Don't believe me? Okay, then stay tuned. Today on our show, we're looking at small local power plants that are the solution in Kenya for remote areas and villages that need power supply. An Austrian camp van is making waves and making the environment a better place. We caught up with the Commissioner for Environment, Dr. Babatunde Adejare, had a lot to say about Lagos, the floods, and climate change. Now we take you to a biosphere meeting of two different cultures near the German capital of Berlin. Africa meets Europe, a so-called Spreewald. Karim Kamara, the director of Eco Village Dindefelo in Senegal, has been invited to discuss with his German counterparts the way this conservation area is protected. Both sides are hoping to get helpful inspiration on how to manage and promote a nature reserve that is environmentally friendly and cost-effective. What's this meeting of different cultures?
Karim Kamara traveled 5,000 kilometers for this meeting. He's in Spreewald, a biosphere reserve southeast of Berlin, in search of new ideas for Dindefelo, a nature park in Senegal. How can we finance nature conservation, which is also strongly linked to tourism? His idea is a kind of crowdfunding campaign. For 50 euros, you can sponsor 1,000 square meters, 1/10 of a hectare, for a full year. Each share is 50 euros, and they're selling very well. Kamara is intrigued by the idea. This is an exceptionally good idea. People can purchase shares which support nature conservation, but we will first have to check whether Senegalese law permits virtual shares such as these. I'd like to try it if it's allowed. Last year, tourists bought 10,000 euros worth of shares. But tourists can also be a problem. The challenges we face here are similar all over the world: preserving nature and developing the economy. Managing tourism poses very practical questions. When I said we have 2.5 million tourists a year, everyone wondered how we manage such a large number of visitors without nature suffering as a result. After the roundtable discussion, it's time to head outdoors. Boat tours are a popular attraction in Spreewald, and the tour gives Karim Kamara and the 7 other participants from Senegal a chance to see how tourism and environmental protection can go hand in hand. Kamara is impressed and says he wants to bring some of these ideas home with him. It's truly inspiring. A refuge that is a symbiosis between humans and nature. No one is damaging the environment, and people are in harmony with nature. It's wonderful. But the Spreewald model can't be transferred one-to-one to Dindefelo. The Senegalese nature reserve is fragile, and the flora and fauna there need special protection. They told us how many visitors come here, and it's an astronomical number. We don't want that at home. It will destroy our environment. For example, if 50 people were to swim in the pool beneath our waterfall, that will already be too many. Tourism in Dindefelo, Karim Kamara's home village, is very different. There are only a handful of visitors who pay the village a fee equivalent to about 1.5 euros. The 110-meter-high waterfall is one of the main attractions. To get here, visitors must make a 10-hour drive from the capital, Dakar, and walk the final stretch on foot. This is Dindefelo Waterfall. The ranger even goes swimming with the visitors. They make sure that visitors and locals observe the area's nature conservation rules. Visitors are not permitted to leave rubbish behind, uproot any plants, or make a fire. We do a lot more with a lot less money. Our reserve is much larger and more difficult to access, but we still protect it. So the spree world has something to learn from us too. Both sides can benefit from the exchange, as Kareem Kamara concludes. He hopes to build on the new partnership to develop a marketing concept that will bring more tourists to Dindafellow. Their goal is 20,000 visitors a year.
Nice truck, you might say. Now, the next innovation we want to show you was designed in Austria. It saves resources and is custom built. Basically, it's a drivable wooden cottage that can be fitted out with solar panels and water systems. They're built from environmentally friendly materials, like a mobile treehouse for adults. The innovators wanted to do their part to protect the environment. Just take a look.
What if you could live close to nature and only bring what you really need? That's possible thanks to this Austrian-based trailer, which comes in 3 different sizes that range between 15 and 33 square meters. Theresa Steininger and Christian Frantl came up with this one-of-a-kind idea. The wagon has its own rainwater harvesting system, bio-toilet, and solar panels. So far, they've sold 12 wagons worldwide. The price ranges from 40,000 to 90,000 euros. The trailer team also teaches people how to build a wagon themselves. Once a month, they run workshops in Austria. So don't be afraid of using drills, saws, and other technical tools. What a great idea! Don't you think?
If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
Lagos, considered the commercial capital of Nigeria, was one time the federal capital of Nigeria. It has a population of about 20 million people, generating about 13,000 tons of waste daily. How do the authorities manage all of this? Recently, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency predicted floods in several states, including Lagos. Are there any plans to ensure that the residents of this mega city are not thrown out by the flood waters when they do come? Well, we caught up with the Commissioner for Environment, Dr. Babatunde Adejare, and he had a lot to say about Lagos, the floods, the environment, and climate change. Now, Lagos is a major city with a large population. What's the plan to ensure that Lagos stays green in the face of climate change?
The plan is that we have a systematic, deliberate program to see that all our laybacks, all our roundabouts, all our triangular laybacks are going to be green. And consciously too, it's a vision of my principal, His Excellency, that we have mega parks in all around Lagos.
Okay, you're planting trees. How many of these trees are you planting?
We have planted over 6 million, that I'm sure of, going to 7 million. And we still want to do more. We plant all these, about 1 million in a year. And in this year, July 14th, we planted about over 1 million. And we are consciously going to maintain them and nurture them so that we get most of those million to adulthood.
What's the plan? Is there a plan to ensure that Lagos doesn't get flooded, especially knowing that the ice is melting in the north? Water levels around Lagos are rising and Lagos is below sea level. So what's the plan?
Apart from the coastal protection thing we have put in place now, we are building groins. There are projections, aggregate of rock projections into the ocean, massive thing like that. And we are building it all over our coastal, the length of our coastal area. And that is to protect and build the shoreline. So what we do is that actively we try and put more drainages around, we try and maintain them, we try and line the primary ones. We have not finished lining them. We do it year in, year out, so that there will be better flow of this water, better retention and things like that.
The population of Lagos is over 20 million. That means plenty of waste is being generated here. What's the plan to ensure that the waste is taken care of and properly disposed of?
We are going to reform it. It's going to be soon than later. By the first day of next year, by the grace of God, we will see another system of managing waste. So that is what we are talking about. Waste is not the way we treated it. We should be, all of us should be looking out for waste because it's sellable. They use them, they burn them to generate power. I saw it, and I know it will be done here. We are going to go that length.
If you had a word for the people as regards climate change and efforts and what they should do, what would it be?
Let's retake and hold our environment back and get it back. Our parents bequeathed a nice, cool environment to us.
Thank you very much. Electric poles in Africa are signs of connection to the big grids or the national grids. But in Kenya, Project Song has been going on for 3 months or thereabout, formed by experts from the University of Loughborough and some local communities. Loughborough is in northern England. Now, what they're doing is they set up small electrical networks to provide energy for faraway communities that are far from the big grids. Now, the residents of Limolobi or Echarira in Kenya no longer need kerosene lamps. Plus, electricity from the sun is much cheaper.
William Carey is a self-taught electrician. Until recently, he's only repaired radios or old TVs. Now he knows a thing or two about lithium-ion batteries.
We had no buzzers like this one to fix the batteries, that you can know the problem with the battery, whether it's dying or not dying. But for now, we put the buzzer, and when the batteries get low, it's beep, beep, some beeping sound.
Williams works at Ikarira's new power station, which is powered by rooftop solar panels. Energy is stored in land batteries in a central hub. Cables transport power to storage cells, which provide electricity for the village's smaller batteries. 20% of the households in Ikarira were equipped with batteries. Others are on a waiting list. The project was launched by 2 British universities. Damien Frost, a battery specialist from Oxford, explains how to update a battery software. The new batteries are ready for testing. Eventually, they'll utilize used laptop batteries, which is more cost-effective and environmentally friendlier. And once they're programmed, the batteries won't need further updates.
These guys are doing hardcore repairs where they're taking chips off and putting new electronic components on. When we go to using used batteries, it'll be more of a refurbishment where you can easily take a battery cell out and put a new one in.
Colleagues Christoph Burke and Caroline Hicks want to take a look at the battery use on its site.
Will they get a...
User feedback is key for further project development. Connecting to the national power grid is too expensive for most of the villagers, and Mary Wanjiru couldn't afford the €150 price tag, plus another monthly fee for power consumption. The rooftop solar cell can't even power 3 lamps. The bulbs that I received are much brighter than the one I had before, and the batteries are easy to operate.
A
committee meeting in the village provides feedback.
People were expecting a higher
radio, TV,
It's only a minute, then it go down.
For most villagers, the batteries can only power light bulbs and radios,
So we are taking that.
and they must be continually recharged.
The battery we have now, in fact, they don't have enough power. So we have agreed that they're going to recharge and bring more power to help the community.
The team from England will develop more powerful batteries in the coming months. But first, they'll have to solve some technical problems in the system. Then all users will contribute about €4 a month into the Village Electricity Committee. Project manager John Leary says it takes about 5 years for the investment to pay for itself. Then, the local power station belongs to the community. It's already been able to acquire an electric incubator and a grain mill that the villagers can rent.
So these business services create an income stream. That income stream can then be used to pay for the costs of the capital for the building the hub in the first place, for buying all this equipment, and for the continual expansion and maintenance of the system.
William Carey services the milling device. It's much too small to meet large demand, and many farmers can't operate it. Instead, they still drive into the city to have their grains milled. Once the project generates more revenue, they'll be able to get a larger mill. William Carey is already thinking about ways to use the green electricity they generate in the village for more commercial uses.
And now, as promised, a new development for an old product: milk. Milk is not just a healthy food, but it is becoming a resource for the textile industry. That's because its protein can be turned into organic fibers. It's a great way to use the waste products of milk that are no longer fit for human consumption. Germany alone produces 2 million tons of waste milk annually. That could be turned into cloth. See for yourself.
Cows give us milk. No one ever expected them to influence the fashion world, however. But now the fashion world needs what they provide. Here you can see milk hanging on a rack. Milk protein, to be exact, in dark blue, black, and gray. The new material is soft, almost like silk. Clothes made from milk protein. Produced and designed by Anke Domaska, who's also a microbiologist.
You can't smell that it's made from milk. It's funny, but the first thing people do is sniff it. There's no way to know that it's made out of milk. It's very silky. Our fiber is made out of protein just like wool or silk. And because the surface is so smooth, it feels like silk.
Domaska produces textile fibers made of waste milk, which is not fit for human consumption. It's an idea that could radically change the textile industry. It all began in a kitchen. Domaska, a rookie microbiologist, bought a supermarket blender, a big canning thermometer, and lots of protein powder. Her goal was to create a fiber that she could use to make clothes.
We experimented in the kitchen for around 9 months till we finally had a recipe which didn't dissolve in water. That's the most essential point when creating textiles. You should be able to wash them.
Domaska uses a pitcher of milk to explain how the fibers are made.
You start with the milk, let it get sour, and then it separates. The white flakes down here are the milk protein. If you scoop it out, you'll have curds, and that dries into a protein powder, and that's our raw material. We make a kind of dough out of it, and then you press it through a nozzle and you get a wonderful fine fiber. Then you can turn that into yarn, and we turn that into a beautiful dress. And it's also natural that you can even eat it.
Now Domaska is mass-producing milk protein fibers. The raw material is milk powder that's mixed with water and natural ingredients. That's made into a kind of dough, which is pressed through nozzles into a thread thinner than a human hair. On a regular basis, the team tests the durability and stability of the fibers in its own laboratory. The fiber is comparable to silk or wool, which are also both protein fibers. Fibers made of milk protein have many advantages. They're hypoallergenic and have no traces of chemicals. They also turn waste milk into a resource and are easy to compost.
Our milk fiber breathes, regulates temperature, is antibacterial and non-flammable. That makes it not only interesting for the textile sector, it's also interesting in technical terms. For example, you can make a foam out of it. You can spray it. You can turn it into foil or nanomaterials. It has unbelievable potential that we're just starting to discover.
The breakthrough came in the fashion world when some Hollywood stars liked the clothes made of milk. Domaska had the idea to send those stars clothing designed especially for them. A smart move.
Misha Barton was the first to put it on, and on the same evening she got the dress, it was seen in the media. And of course that was a huge thing for us.
If the idea catches on, these milk cows will be getting other assignments in the future, like producing raw materials for fashion labels.
We go to Lesotho, a landlocked country surrounded entirely by South Africa. A small kingdom has two significant natural resources, diamonds and water. Cross-border cooperation is therefore key to making the most of the region's resources. Lesotho is now selling water and power to South Africa, and it keeps improving its water management system to keep up with the growing needs of its large neighbor.
The village of Mapeleng is tucked away in the Lesotho highlands. It's home to some 600 people who live from their cattle and harvests. Despite the high altitude and frequent rains, the region is fairly barren. There are few proper roads here. Villagers get around by horse or donkey. Nearby is one of the biggest lakes in Lesotho. There used to be just a small river running through the valley. Until the mid-1990s, the Katsay Dam was built. The reservoir supplies neighbouring South Africa with clean water and delivers clean electricity to Lesotho. In contrast to Lesotho, South Africa is rather arid. As the need for water increases every year, South Africa depends on building new reservoirs and importing clean water from Lesotho. Therefore, the project is managed by representatives from both nations. Lee Ketsang Muthibi also works for the company that operates the Katsay Dam. Water is one of Lesotho's most important exports and a lucrative one too.
The main benefits could be those ones that we are generating electricity for the whole nation with this water before being transferred to South Africa. And again, there are some royalties that come through to Lesotho as a result of transfer of water to Gauteng province. Lesotho would get an average of 30 million maluti on a monthly basis.
The water flows 60 kilometers through the tunnel to a hydropower generator. The system follows the area's natural slope and therefore saves energy. To follow the water's path, a car has to cover twice the distance above ground. Jabane is a foreman of the Muela hydropower plant. It's a task that comes with a lot of responsibilities. Because the plant operates 24 hours a day to keep Lesotho supplied with electricity, Jabane does rounds every day, checking the huge turbine halls where the generators are powered. It's warm and damp down here. Lesotho relies almost exclusively on clean hydropower, completely free of environmentally damaging carbon dioxide emissions.
The station designed for 72 megawatts, which means we would need something like another 50 or 60 megawatts. But if we build the second tunnel, that would mean the same powerhouse, and that would mean more than Lesotho needs.
30,000 litres of water per second flows from the Lesotho highlands to South Africa, where it's needed by households and industry. and the project is far from being finished. Both nations plan on building another dam and tunnel. When they are completed in 2022, it will boost Lesotho's electricity generation to a whole new level and secure the water supply for South Africa for the years to come.
Good examples of cross-border cooperations to protect the environment and get to know each other better. That's our show for today. I want to thank you so much for being a part of it. Remember, good ideas can work anywhere. To find out more, check out our website showing on our screen. You can also join the conversation on our social media platforms. Thank you again for watching. Till we bring you another edition from Lagos, Nigeria, I'm Nel Taigbe. Bye-bye.